Morning, everybody. We're going to start the Rails member update now. How's everyone out there? Can't see very well, but I'm sure you're out there. So welcome. As I said, to our Rails member update. I'm Deirdre Brennan. I'm in Vernon today. I know we have a lot of people online, Mary tells me, as well as people around the various sites. So I think we'll start with introductions, and I'll just go alphabetically. So is there anybody in Bolingbrook? Apparently not. How about Burr Ridge?
Yes, good morning, Deirdre. This is Jane Plass.
Debbie Baskey, Rails. Jody Rubel, Rails.
Amanda Masaccio, Rails.
Pam Witt, Woodbridge Public.
Ann Slaughter, Rails.
And that's it.
Okay, thanks, Jane. We're going to turn up I think Wesley is going to turn up the volume a little bit because we couldn't hear you that well. We don't want that to be a problem. So maybe you could turn yourselves up too no. Okay, Wes has got it under control. Okay, as usual, moving right along, Cole Valley.
That's Angela Campbell, Rock Island.
Ashton Trimble, Blackhawk College.
Laura Long, East Moline.
Jeff Stafford, Robert R. Jones.
Catherine Worsley, Alito.
Leanne Redberg, Andalusia Township Library.
That's it.
All right, great, thank you. How about East Peoria?
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
This is Gina Burr. She's from East Peoria, Fond du Lac. I'm Kendall Orson from RSA and Rails.
All right, hello, good morning. And is anybody in Rockford today? No, okay. So now we'll check our other video conference sites, starting with Aurora. Anybody in Aurora? No, okay. Cherry Valley?
Good morning. This is Jane Lenzer from Cherry Valley.
And Mary Petro from North Suburban.
Good morning. Welcome. How about Freeport?
Hi there, this is Laura Keys with Freeport Public Library.
Hi, Laura. I don't think ILA is connected. Is that right? I think they're probably focused on the conference, as well they should be. Illinois State Library.
Good morning, Deborah Aggert.
This is Pat Bowes. Karen Egan.
Great, nice to see you all. Kankakee. I think Kankakee is busy having a workshop today. I don't see them. Okay, LaSalle. I thought I saw someone in LaSalle.
LaSalle. Hello.
Yes, hello, LaSalle.
Hello, this is Patricia Smith from Robert Rowe Library. Julie Whalen.
Great,
Princeton
hi,
Public Julie Whalen, Princeton Public Library. Nikki Isaacson,
Great,
Papa Public Library.
Great, okay, nice to see you. How about Macomb? Are they on there, Wes?
This should be.
I don't see them. How about New Lenox?
Hello. This is Jenny Mills from Shorewood.
Paul Mills, Fountaindale, and Rails board member.
Kathy Bergeron, Madison Area Public.
Rich Ashley, Fossil Ridge.
Lauren Offerman, Three Rivers.
Michelle Creswick, New Lenox.
And Brian Smith, Rails.
Great, thank you. How about Quincy? All right, I would say nobody.
Home is connected.
Quincy, okay. What about Sterling? Anyone in Sterling? Say no. Sycamore. Anybody in Sycamore? I know people were planning to attend there, but maybe they're not there after all.
It is connected, so.
Yep. Okay, well, maybe they'll show up later. And finally, last but not least, Vernon.
Candy Wheeler, Gordon Area Public Library.
Wesley Smith, Rails.
As I said, Deirdre Brennan, Rails.
Mary Witt Rails.
Jim Schultz, McHenry Public Library.
Cindy Labassa from the Fox Lake District Library.
Scott Davis, Fremont Public Library District.
Ryan Livergood, Warren Newport Public Library.
Great, okay. Has anybody joined us since I went around the first time? I don't think so. So, okay. All right, so, and then just, a reminder, we do have a lot of people participating via Rails Live. And they may sometimes ask a question, and Mary will relay that to me. So, so we'll just proceed. So, okay, so just a quick general Rails update before we move into the major topics. As you probably are all aware, we did get a budget this year. Theoretically, we full funding, which is about $9.8 million. In the previous 2 years, we only received about 60% of that amount, which was about $5.8 million. So that's all the good news. The sort of not so good news is that we haven't gotten any money yet. I imagine that you're all also wondering about the status of per capita grants, et cetera, et cetera. It's possible the state library may have some information. But we have great confidence that the money will show up. It's just a matter of time. So we're proceeding accordingly. Just a couple of weeks ago, the State Library did actually formally approve our plan of service and budget for FY18. So we are moving forward with our projects as outlined. So that's all very good news, obviously. And we hope it is a sign of things to come for many years. A brief update on the membership standards. There really isn't that much to say. We're in a testing phase right now. We're at analysis phase. The board did approve them in June with the understanding that they were going to be not implemented until next July, and that we would be analyzing, looking at library data and doing a test of the standard with libraries that volunteer to be part of the test, to see how they work in practice. And one of the things, and so we're working on a few things that will be part of that test. One of the most important is a checklist. We want it to be very simple to report, and so staff is working on that. And staff is also working on developing this group of libraries, libraries of all types, some libraries from Heartland, as well as obviously most of them in Rails, just to test the standards and see how it works and how it is for libraries to, as I say, report on them. So I don't know, hoping that test will happen in between now and let's say February or March, because we do need to report back to the board on how the test went and if there's any additional changes that need to be made or that we recommend. And that is supposed to happen sometime around May, at the May board meeting. The idea being that they would then be tweaked so that they could be implemented on July 1st. So I think this is all going along very well. We're also working on the training component and figuring out what should be the core training that library directors need to take if they don't have a master's degree. So, any questions anywhere about the standards at this point? Like I say, we're really in a testing, not an active phase right now. Okay. Another thing I wanted to say just generally is that at the last member update, we had a long conversation, very animated conversation about OCLC. And there was a request at that point that Rails take some, take a kind of a leadership role in terms of, delving into pricing and alternatives to OCLC and usage of OCLC so that libraries could better understand what they were getting for their money. And so I believe, have posted some information on the website. Is that right, Mary? Have we done that? Or
no,
we're,
not
we're
yet.
still
We're going to
okay?
soon.
We're still. We just want to vet all the information very carefully. When I talk about information, I'm talking about usage by libraries and cost by library. The other thing that we said that we would do, or we were asked to do, was to, as I said, look at some alternatives. And so we have arranged for some demos of the Sky River product. And so I wanted to tell you all when that is. They are scheduled for October 25th at 10 a.m. and October 26th at 2 p.m. at Burr Ridge. So you can register on L2 to attend. You can contact Amanda Masaccio, who works with Veranda at Rails, if you need or want any more information. Any questions about that? Yes.
Basically, that's just for cataloging records. It's not for interlibrary loan at this point, right?
That is my understanding. Yes, but things are always developing. So yes. Okay. So any questions about any of that at this point? All right. So we're going to spend some time talking today about resource sharing and also about the strategic plan. And let me just kind of set the stage a little bit for this. So, first of all, I want to say that we really, really value these member updates, that they are a great opportunity for us to talk directly to the members and to get feedback. And we really appreciate all the participation. And so at this point, we have some kind of important conversations going on about resource sharing, among other things. And also, we're looking at updating our strategic plan that we did when Rails first formed back in 2013. And so we see the member update as a great way to sort of, lay out some things that we're thinking about, some things that we're doing, and just get some feedback and ask you all some questions. So obviously, resource sharing is one of the most important things that we do. It's kind of the foundation of why systems were established in the first place. I think that it's very important that because this is how it's laid out in the System Act, is that resource sharing is not just about sharing materials among libraries. It's about sharing expertise and sharing, doing cooperative purchasing kinds of things, really leveraging all of the resources that we have, human, financial, and materials, to provide the best service and do it in the most cost-effective way. So when I talk about resource sharing and when the strategic plan talks about resource sharing, it's really in that context. So, and the other thing that is going on at this point that's related to resource sharing is that we are having some conversations about funding. Obviously, we are always thinking about funding, even when we have a full budget, because, we've certainly seen things happen to the systems over the years that, that brought us from 19 to 9 to 3 to whatever. So anyway, so we're always looking at ways of making sure that the funding that we are providing for various services is equitable and is stable and sustainable. And a big chunk of our budget, 1.25 million, I think, every year we spend on supporting the LSAPs, that being Prairie Cat, RSA, Magic, and Swan. So that's a good thing. I mean, we absolutely believe that, LSAPs are one of the most important things that we do. But it's not the only thing that we do. And also the couple, Prairie Cat and RSA and Magic, although Magic is merging into Swan. I mean, talk about, there's all these things changing as well, which is another reason to look at, the strategic plan and what your goals are. They're very dependent on us and funding, and that's great as long as we have enough money. So anyway, all of this has caused us to have this conversation, and we want to, just share some of that with you. So this has caused me to go back and look at the strategic plan, as I said, and it was a very interesting exercise, because back in 2013, when we did the plan, we gathered a lot of input, of course, and data from members, just like we do with member updates. We did surveys, we did focus groups. I'm sure a lot of you remember this, and when the plan when we wrote it, it was designed to be very flexible and high level, so that we do annual action plans to implement the goals and strategic initiatives. And the State Library requires us to do an annual action plan. So that all, works very nicely. So, but still, we, as I said, we decided we needed to look at the strategic plan. So, in looking back at the focus group results in the survey, it was just great to be reminded that the top need from members was continuing education and consulting. And it's interesting because I think sometimes that is not always thought of as being, a basic need, but it is. I've always thought it was, but also universal service or service to the unserved, that came up as second. Other important needs were cost savings, networking among members. Of course, resource sharing was also seen as very important. They wanted expansion of delivery in terms of days. There was talk about equity of funding to LSAPs. Desire for an overlay, which is, of course, very interesting because we have differing opinions about overlay. I mean, I know I've had conversations with some of you folks some of the folks up in CCS about, which is kind of where I am. What's the reason for an overlay, But when you look at what is being asked for across the membership, and of course, that's always our challenge, with 27,000 square miles, 1,200 members. So anyway, the inclusion of standalone libraries, getting them more involved, a reminder LSAP's too costly to join, those kinds of things. So as I say, it was a very good reminder, and then, looking at where we are in 2017 and what we've accomplished, as I say, the challenge of the 27,000 square miles and the 1,285 members is an exciting challenge, and I think we've made a lot of progress, but there's a lot that still needs to be done. So it was also a reminder that there was, at that point in time, quite a conversation about whether we should have one big LSAP, which was what the Heartland, library system decided to do. So, and this is all probably, more interesting to me than it is necessarily. But, as I said, it's very important. The reason that we did a strategic plan was to find out what the members want us to do. The reason that we have these member updates is to, is to try and track that on a regular basis. The reason that we're going to look at it again, the strategic plan, is again to see how it needs to be updated, because certainly the landscape has changed. So I think I'll just stop for a minute. Any comments so far? I don't mean this to be like such a big monologue, but on the other hand, it is an update. Any comments anywhere about anything I've said so far? Any questions?
I just have one comment.
Yes, Jim.
Just so, being a strategic planner and stuff like that, I think it's really important at this particular time too, that you look at your strategic plan and you sort of celebrate what you've done, because a lot of libraries don't. It's just a continuation and then you get tired.
Right.
And you've done a lot, for the state and for libraries and things like that. And I think that's really important to sort of recognize that and then sort of stop for just a second, take a breath and say, okay, so now we can move on. But
Well, thank you for saying that. That's a great segue, because we certainly made some progress, but there's some things we haven't done, which I'll get into. So
we were like in chaos there for a little while.
yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. Any other comments or questions anywhere out there?
I have a couple when you're
Oh yes, great. Mary has some online. Yeah, go ahead.
First one was referring to the earlier item about the Sky River demo.
Yeah.
Someone asked if those were going to be at Burr Ridge.
Yes.
And both are going to be at Burr Ridge, but our helpful staff also piped in and said that they're also going to be on Rails Live, which
Okay,
is what we
good.
have now. And they're also going to be recorded. So people, if you're not able to come to Burr Ridge, you will have opportunities to see them. So thanks to the staff for helping out on that. The other question is, where is the background on the LSAP consolidation? Where is it posted if we want to see its history?
That's a very interesting question, and I'm not sure.
Not sure either.
Very good question, and I'm not sure that we have anything officially posted anywhere, but obviously it's all public information. We certainly have documents, and we can talk to the stakeholders in that, how we might put that out there. I can say briefly that Swan and Magic and Link are engaged in a migration project that will move it's 19 libraries from Magic and Link, which is sort of the DuPage area, DuPage County area, that will move into Swan, and the go live date is estimated to be next May. So, and Cersei Dynex is the vendor. So that's I can tell you that right now, but we can certainly try to provide more information.
Deirdre, this is Jane.
Yes. Hi, Jane.
I would also mention that Swan does have quite a bit of information posted on its public website, which you can get to from the Rails website if you look under shared catalogs.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Jane. Okay. Anything else at this point? Anywhere? All right. Well, just, taking Jim's hint. Some of the progress that we've made and some of the specifics in terms of meeting the resource sharing needs of libraries all across Rails. As I said, we certainly have helped a lot of libraries to join LSAP. So we 57 libraries, I think is the number, have been added to LSAPs over the past couple of years since we had the membership grants. Spent about $1.1 million on that, and what that means is that we have provided kind of the capital, the startup costs. The libraries obviously have to be able to sustain the membership. We have been working on the overlay for quite a while. Jane's going to talk about that in a little bit. We did expand the definition of LSAP, that, we had this, I think this was something that also came up back when we were doing the strategic plan, that this idea that we have these independent consortia versus the LSAPs, and they're really doing the same work, and why are they not defined the same and treated the same? And we've certainly made progress in that area. Made as I said, some libraries, not being online. Some of them have joined LSAPs, but, some of them can't afford to join LSAPs. And that, again, is kind of related to the overlay. I think our shared e-read collection and the biblio boards and the biblio labs that we're working on have, certainly helped in terms of bringing e-resources to libraries. In terms of the unserved, that is, there hasn't been a lot of progress on that, unfortunately. But I do think that we have been able to take some steps, and I think this is definitely an area where we all have to be very, incremental about this. There's, some of us have been having conversations across Heartland and Rails in the State Library about how it's unreasonable to think that, unfortunately, that we're going to get some big statewide legislative revenue solution to this. It's just not going to happen. And that we, need to find ways to address it locally and to just kind of move things forward as best we can. So, one of the advantages of, one of the reasons that we have bibliolabs is that is a geolocated platform, and it is a way that it is a resource that we can push out to everybody in the state, potentially, if even those who don't have a library, because one of the problems with people who don't have libraries is that they don't know what they're missing, and so you almost have to give them something in order to educate them about what they would get if they had a library. So. The other thing that Rails has worked on, that Veranda's had Veranda Pitchford's had a lot of success with, is intergovernmental agreements in cities or municipalities, whatever, where school district lines and library district lines don't match up, and getting intergovernmental agreements so that at least all of the children can be served. Agreements between the school district and the library. So. Potentially there is one of the conversations that we've been having is that maybe we can do a pilot project. There's the Warren County Library is interested in extending service to, residents of one of its communities that actually has, part of it is in a different county. So, maybe they're in, on a small local scale, there's a way of testing what happens when you, give a library, whatever, you extend the library service to untaxed residents and just see how it works. But, that's all stuff still being discussed. But, I think one of the accomplishments with the unserved, well, I guess there's two from my perspective. One, we're actually having conversations about it, which is for a while it struck me that it was too big an issue and people just didn't even want to talk about it. So I think we're finding ways to kind of break it down so you can deal with it more realistically, and that we are, trying to find some local ways, some incremental ways of dealing with it, and I appreciate the State Library's leadership on this very much. Obviously, we share a lot of expertise all the time. This is one example. Certainly our website, our e-news, our email list, the Fast Facts survey, the networking events. So I'm not, I don't mean to, go on for too long, but I did want to, as I say, give you an overview of what what we think resource sharing means, of what we've been trying to do in some areas, and as I say, get some feedback from you all in addition. So Jane is going to talk about the overlay, and Amanda Musachi is going to talk a little bit about cooperative purchasing too. But I'll stop again and see if anybody has any questions or comments at this point about the unserved or anything else. Yes, Scott.
You mentioned Biblio Labs.
Yes.
Could you expand on that? I'm not familiar with it.
So Biblio Labs is a company that we have a contract with to provide, and they provide e-resources. If you go to our website, you can find what's available through them. Just as some highlights, they are providing a resource, a collection called Pop-Up Picks, and it is a collection of. We've been working with the Independent Publishing Group, which is actually based here in Chicago, to get access to materials that are available digitally on Biblio boards. That's the name of their platform. The company is Biblio Labs. And this is a curated collection that changes every 3 months or so, and I'm not sure what the current one is. Do you know, Amanda or Jane, what the current?
I do not.
Okay. I mean, it has been self-help at one point. You know, as I say, it's a curated collection. There's also something
that's with the children's. That's actually in our What's New flyer. I'm trying to remember the exact details. It's the Children's Museum collection. There's a title from that they actually publish things at the Chicago Children's Museum. That's one of the things I'm trying to remember. Maybe someone in Burr Ridge can look at the What's New flyer. It's the top thing. I'm trying to picture it.
So Biblio, this Biblio Board's product is something that we are working on right now on better marketing, frankly. Because I think it's fantastic. It's simultaneous use, and it's geolocated, like I say. So, and there are various components to it. In addition to pop-up picks, there's something called Recovering the Classics, where it's a collection of classic books like Scarlet Letter, or even more. This goes back to my classic reading list, but modern ones too, which are fantastic for school libraries or for school reading lists because, again, it's unlimited use. So these are the kinds of digital resources that we're trying to provide. So
is this available to us then as member libraries right now?
Yes.
Is there a fee for us?
There are fees for some additional aspects to it, but no, not to the basic collection.
If I could mention one more thing, I just really looked into this the other day. There's a Biblio Board Core collection, and that has like hundreds of different collections, like on authors.
Right.
It has
Abraham Lincoln,
cooking, beer, vampires. It collects a lot of different resources. There are study guides, like if you want to use it, for programming, or if schools want to use it. It's really a fantastic collection. So, and these are all on. Like if you look in the services section of our website, there is that e-resources section. You'll see all of that information there. And I think someone was looking up the pop-up classics for me in Burr Ridge. Is that what we heard? Trying to.
Yes. Yeah. So, Mary, you were correct that the e-content is being curated by the Chicago Children's Museum, and also other titles related to the museum collections, as well as the Romance Writers of America are curating a collection featuring romance favorites. So those are the ones being featured.
Those are upcoming, correct?
It says no, they're on the website.
October was some. Yeah. It was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd just like to echo, we got it actually before you guys.
That's,
got it.
okay, that's right, yep.
And they have a connection to Library Journal Selfie.
Yes, right.
So I actually, I'm a book author from like ABC Cleveland Greenwood. I actually put an independent press publication on that I did.
Right.
And what's neat about it is you can go to your high school and let's say they have an art program, you can put a book together and put it on the selfie thing. It doesn't have to be picked up by Library Journal, but you can offer this service to your patrons too, and so you can have an independent collection. And Library Journal will pick up on that, and they might even offer somebody, a contract or something like that through that. But we wanted to have a sort of an uncurated collection of independent authors.
Mm-hmm.
This would have gone really well in my library in South Dakota, but not so much in McHenry yet.
Are you talking about self-published authors too, right? Yeah,
So
that's,
we could have local authors.
Right.
Like we're going to be putting up there's a gentleman from my library that has a collection of short stories, and so we're putting them together, and we're going to put them on the selfie so everybody can have access to it. And
right.
it's sort of cool.
Some of the sort of extras that you may have to pay for are related to this whole local curation. And I'm not the expert, and Veranda, who is the expert, is somewhere else today. But it is a great resource, and it's underutilized, and that's one of the main things that we're going to be working on over the next
And a
year
huge
or
part
so.
of it is free. If you're going
Yeah.
to ILA, we'd love to talk to you at the Rails booth. And someone here pointed out that Bibliolabs is going to be at ILA.
Yep.
So we'd be happy to demo some of the content that we're talking about. It's really a fantastic collection of resources.
When we first did eRead, one of the goals of the whole project, of the grant, was to find alternatives to, Baker and Taylor, Overdrive, et cetera, that would provide access to additional materials and just sort of, more access in general. And we ended up with Bibliolabs as the best resource, and it's the simultaneous, multi-user thing that's huge, because that doesn't exist very, very many places in this e-read world, in this e-content world. So.
And it's super easy to use the app too, as someone on our staff has pointed out, which is definitely true. I have a comment about the unserved.
Yes.
When you're ready.
Yep. Go ahead.
Going back to the unserved, someone has a comment, not a question, but it may be important to note that some areas choose not to have a library, and that is their right. My own suburb voted twice to not join a library district, and while I wish they had voted otherwise, they have the right to not put tax dollars towards a library. It cannot be forced, just something we can't ignore.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, in Illinois, it all comes back to local control, and there are many good things about that. On the other hand, that is not the case everywhere that people vote sort of, say, affirmatively that they don't want a library. So we're trying to do the best we can with areas that don't know what they're missing, too. Any other questions or comments at this point on anything so far?
I just want to say to that point, I completely agree. But it's really important for us, I think, we know the importance of libraries and the values of libraries. So to present that information to communities and let them make up their own minds. I mean, I think that comment is absolutely correct. It's the voters that decide. But it's our mission to present the information to them and give them all the information they need to make a decision. Let's not lose sight of that.
Right, and I think that is absolutely the system's mission, and and I think that's come up in the conversations with the State Library in Hartland. And I guess full disclosure, right? Ryan and I both worked in Massachusetts, where they do have universal service, and it's amazing what a difference that makes in terms of just the simplification of not having to worry about or think about, or have procedures, et cetera, for keeping people out, frankly,
Right.
is, so, but, you deal with the situation you have, so. I think then I will ask Amanda to highlight some of the cooperative purchases. Amanda, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me? Want to come on?
Yes.
All right, come up front. Okay, yes.
Okay. Rails Deals and Discounts is one of the fundamental programs of resource sharing. Rails currently offers 8 group purchases with about 160 library participants. In addition to group purchases, we offer 22 vendors that have discounts for Rails members that vary from about 10 to 20% off retail price. We always have new and exciting and innovating vendors that we like to bring forth, and we encourage you, if you have any suggestions, to please contact us. We would like to hear about that. And we advertise these new deals and discounts in the e-news, and I hope you all subscribe to our weekly e-news. And my contact information can be found in those blurbs, so please contact me if you have any suggestions. Right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. I probably can give you, I know Communico is an example of one. I know we've been doing demos of some of these. Credo Reference, EBSCO, Biblioboard, Collection HQ. Anyway, as Amanda said, if you look on the website or get in touch with her, you can get more specific information. But we do think that this is a very important part of resource sharing for sure.
I have a question on
Yep.
that. They're asking where the list is, and it's in the services section of our website. You'll see a deals and discounts. I believe is that what it's called? Amanda, if you could go back to the mic, I'm going to have another question for you. And then it's also, they're asking, does the library store figure on the discount list?
We are currently in negotiations with the library store. We're trying to negotiate the best deal we can. And the deals and discounts, I meant to include that, can be found at railslibraries.info/deals or under services, deals and discounts.
Great, thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Amanda. Okay, so Jane, you want to update us on the overlay?
Sure, thank you, Deirdre.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as Deirdre mentioned, we've been talking about the overlay project for a long time, going back even before the focus groups for the strategic plan. The seeds of it are actually in the very first plan of service that Rails did. So just to recap very, very briefly, our phase 1 was an environmental scan that we did in order to identify similar projects in other states and what software was actually out there in production. Phase 2 was then involved a lot of focus groups and meetings with various stakeholders to look into the organizational aspects and get further feedback from all of our members. And both of those final reports are available on our website. If you look under the shared catalog section, you'll see a sidebar with the overlay project listed. One of the recommendations from the phase 2 study was to begin with a small pilot group. So phase 3, which really launched back in August of 2016, was to do a software search. So we had a working group with participation from 3 consortia who expressed interest in putting time into that. That was Prairie Cat, Rock River, and Carly for their iShare group. We went through a very extensive evaluation process with RFP and reviewing that. We did demos back in May that many of you may have attended. In July, the working group met for the final time and made its recommendation to direct the rail staff to begin contract negotiations with Autographics for its Share It product. I'll mention just a couple of the reasons we liked this product. It's very flexible. It offers a hybrid solution that can incorporate both a physical union catalog and virtual union catalogs through the Z39.50 protocol. So that will enable us to work with both our large libraries and large consortia that have sophisticated ILSs, as well as our libraries that have other ILSs that maybe are not as robust. In fact, they have options that will make it possible for non-automated libraries, and unfortunately we still do have a number of non-automated libraries. They will have an opportunity to participate via attaching holdings to records that exist in the union catalog. So a lot of flexibility there, which is important for our diverse automation landscape. Also, it turns out that Autographics does have some cataloging components to this and agreements with projects in other states to share some cataloging information. So this is also a way of providing an OCLC alternative for libraries that might want one as we grow the project. So it would have both the interlibrary loan component and possibilities for cataloging as well. So we presented the recommendation to the Consortia Committee in July. Members there had a number of questions, in part because there has been quite a bit of turnover on that committee. So people had various degrees of familiarity with the project. So we're still working through the approval process. I am finalizing a fairly extensive Q&A document that will be public next week. Its first publication will be in the Consortia Committee meeting packet, which will be available on our website next week. And then we'll incorporate that information into the website going forward from that. So we're not sure of the timing of this yet. Since we have not begun contract negotiations, it will be a while. However, in the interim, I have also begun conversations with libraries in Prairie Cat and Rock River to see libraries that might be interested in participating in a pilot. I have 7 volunteers already, 4 from Prairie Cat, 3 from Rock River. There will be room for more, so if any of those libraries in those consortia are interested, please contact me. And I am in the process of reaching out to iShare, and we'll be working with the Carly Resource Sharing Committee and Chris Hammerstrand there, and I'm attending a meeting with a number of iShare members in a couple of weeks. Also wanted to emphasize that the pilot will begin small, 10 to 20 libraries is our aim, and limited to the consortia with the idea of we get more bang for our buck that way because it's fewer ILSs to connect. But when the pilot ends, this is definitely open to any library that would want to participate. And it is not necessary for an entire consortium to participate. Libraries within a consortium will be able to choose, whether or not that's a good fit for them. So I guess I would just conclude by saying if you have questions, I'm glad to address them here, or you can contact me afterwards, and also be looking for that Q&A that'll be available next week. So any questions
All
right now?
thank you. Thank you, Jane. Do you have any questions, Mary? Anybody online?
No.
Anybody? Yes, Scott has a question here in Vernon.
Will there be any cost to libraries to participate?
Yes, not during the pilot project because those libraries will be, making other commitments of staff time and participation. So Rails intends to fund the pilot. We do anticipate fees once we go into full production. Those fees have not been worked out yet, but we definitely want to keep it as affordable as possible. We are thinking those fees will be scaled in some way, just as we scaled fees for participation in eRead Illinois.
Thank you.
And I would just like to add, in terms of the overlay, that I think it's important to, remember that this is an alternative to an LSAP, especially, potentially for libraries that can't join LSAPs or don't choose to. It goes back, as I said at the beginning, to these, kind of source documents of, what should we be doing to expand resource sharing, and what should we be doing to help libraries get on, put their collections online. So it's, as Jane said, it's limited to consortia in terms of the pilot, because we're trying to, keep the expenses under control, and we have to test it, obviously. But I think that the long-term benefit of an overlay is huge, and I think that libraries would be willing to pay to participate when it is, fully grown and robust, and they'll be able to use it for all kinds of things. It's hard for us to envision this now because we are used to such a different landscape, but it is in existence in other places. It works. So, are there other questions or comments?
We do have an online
Yes.
question now. Will this be available for special libraries also?
Yes. Yes, our intent is to make it available to all libraries that are interested.
Absolutely. Any more questions or comments anywhere? I'm reluctant to go site by site because there are so many of them, of you. Let me just say a couple words about the member needs assessment then, and then we'll pause again for questions. So, as I said, we're looking at the strategic plan. You will be getting a survey that will be a needs assessment that we will ask you to fill out. I don't know precisely the timing on that, but it will be coming. And we will probably use future member updates to talk about other aspects of the strategic plan that, going forward, because it is a great opportunity. So, did you want to say anything else about the needs assessment?
No, not at this point. Just watch for it and please fill it out. We'll probably ask for one response per library, but you can certainly consult with your staff, and we just hope everybody fills it out. We'd be looking for multi-type participation, feedback from, academics, special schools, and public. So please fill it out. It'll be sometime a little later this fall.
So, one more time, any questions, comments anywhere? We spent an hour or so on resource sharing, which is, has been great. I've appreciated the conversation. Would love to have more, though, if anybody has anything to say at this point before we move on. Anything, anywhere? Going once, going twice. All right, we're done then. Thank you very much. So we will now move on to talking about the multi-type collaborative grants. Debbie's going to talk to us about this.
Okay, thank you. We have talked about this a couple of times at other member updates, but we thought it would be a good idea to put these out there as a reminder since the award periods have been announced for this fiscal year. Just a reminder, these are grants that we offered for the first time last fiscal year, and it's a way to encourage libraries of different types to work together on cooperative projects. It requires that we have 2 Rails libraries of different types to apply for one of these grants. So it can be a public and an academic, or a school and a special. And in some cases, we've had some applications from 3 libraries or 4 libraries, but there needs to be 2 libraries of different types. The maximum grant amount is $2,500. So it's a way to, again, encourage new partnerships, new projects, and as a multi-type library system, this is important to us to get our members to work together on different projects. We're looking for things that are innovative. Like I said, new projects, new partnerships are good, but it doesn't have to be a new partnership. You might already have a partnership with, maybe you're a public library and you already have an existing partnership with one of your schools, but you want to try something new with them. That would be okay as well. Something that could be shared and replicated so our other member libraries can learn from it would be a good thing. We're looking for that. That it shows that this has been impactful to your community, it's been useful to them, so demonstrating that. And sustainability beyond the grant program, so sustainability of that project or program, or even demonstrating that this has created a new relationship and you're going to do different things moving forward. So we're definitely looking for those types of things. We're also going to make every effort to award grants that reflect our membership. So we want to see projects coming in from different types of libraries over our entire service area, libraries with differing budgets and diverse communities. So we'll look at that too when we're evaluating these grants. We did put on the website some priority funding areas for 2018. Your grant application it's not required to fit into these, but there are things that we might be looking for. And, think outside the box. It's always nice to see different types of projects. Last go around, we had quite a few related to maker spaces, which is great, but seeing, different types of projects is always a good thing. Some of the priority funding areas that we mentioned was something that Deirdre spoke about earlier, was access to information to unserved or underserved populations. If you can think of something to do or project in that area, we're excited to see those. Things involving news literacy, online safety, security, privacy, expanding resource sharing. These are all listed on our website. So if you can fit something into one of those areas, we'd like to see that. But we're gonna consider grants that are not within these areas as well. So take a look at that. The first award period application deadline is November 17th, and then we'll have a second one April 20th, 2018. So as I said, take a look at the website. You can get to that under the services section of our website, /multitype-grants, and all of this information is on there, as well as the application. It's a good time to start talking to your partners. If you need help reaching out and finding a library in the area that you might want to partner with, fine. We've had some requests with libraries that want to include like a park district or a different organization in the community. You can do that, but you still need your 2 Rails member libraries of different types, first and foremost. Going forward, at least for the time being, if you have any questions, my colleague Joe Philippek, his contact information is on that page. Tomorrow is my last day before maternity leave, so I won't be able to answer questions for this November timeline. So Joe will be your go-to person leading up to the November deadline. Are there any questions at this point that I can answer?
Hi, Debbie. This is Laura in Freeport.
Hi, Laura.
I do have a question, kind of about the deadline. So you said that there's one deadline here in November, and then there's another deadline on April 20th. What in the guidelines, are there any rules about when the program has to take place? For example, I have something in mind. Of course, it's just thinking about it. But the program wouldn't actually take place until probably March 2019. May I still apply in April 2018, or should I wait till November 2018?
Okay, so this is what I would say about that. Right now, we don't have any specific timeframes in there because we've had projects that were year-long, and so we've been very flexible about that. But as a committee, we've talked about possibly adding within the year of receiving the grant. So I would say, and if we add that, we'll add it before the April deadline. So you would know that prior to the April deadline if you should wait for the November deadline. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it sounds like if I and another library choose to apply for this grant in April, we wouldn't be awarded it if we were chosen until, May at the incredibly earliest. And then that's still, if we put it into place the following March, that's still 10 months away, so that's still allowed.
It would be,
okay,
yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Other questions? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Debbie.
Sure.
So Mary is going to talk to us about a program that I'm really excited about.
Yes, our upcoming Museum Pass program. We've talked to you about this before. And actually, Emily Feister on our staff has been the one working on this, but Emily couldn't be here today, so I'm actually reporting for her. We have a name for the program now. It's going to be called Explore More Illinois, and it's going to include museums and cultural attractions throughout the state. We've had that question, is this just going to be the Chicago area? Absolutely not. It's going to include, all kinds of different attractions throughout the state. And we would love to get any suggestions you have. Emily has been receiving some suggestions from our libraries. We welcome those from you as well. Any attraction that you think would be good, we'd love to hear it. She's in the process of contacting people now, so this would be a good time to contact her. You could contact me if you don't, know her email, but we certainly want to have your suggestions. We're using a software program by a company called the Quipu Group. That's hard for me to say. It's Quipu, and they have actually done a Contra Costa in
California.
The library in California. If you want to see, an example of a program that that they've done, ours will be very similar to that. It'll all be online. The patrons will reserve the passes online. So there'll be no checking out of passes by library staff. So we really think that this will really be, convenient for both patrons and the library staff. And then also, they are working on a software upgrade. That's the reason why this has been delayed a little bit. We had hoped to roll this out this fall, but Quipu is working on a major software upgrade that'll really, make the program even more fantastic than it already is. So that's why we decided to wait until they implemented that. So now we're thinking sometime early next year is when we will implement this. There will be no charge for Rails members to participate. Libraries will need to sign up for their patrons to be able to participate, and patron authentication will be required. And you'll be getting more details about this as we go along and we have the details. We're going to roll out a page on our website pretty soon. It doesn't have we won't have a lot of details on, like how to sign up and that kind of thing, but we will have, a place where you can suggest museums if you want to do it that way. There will be a section for museums on the website, to tell them the benefits for them to participate in the program. There will be a section for libraries, and then there will also be a section for patrons. We think that most patrons will probably get to, it through your website, and you can have your own URL. But just in case somebody stumbles on our site, we'll also have that available. And that I would look for sometime in the next month or so. Is there any questions? I think I've said all we know at this time. But
Do you have any idea how the patron authentication will work? Do they have to have a valid library card from a participating library? And does it have to go and connect into the database to find out if they are?
Yep. And we've spent a bunch of time already talking with our IT department and Quipu and other staff who are familiar with authentication and consortia issues as well.
Yeah, there's costs.
Yes, yeah.
Do we have to pick up those costs then as a participating library?
I don't have the answer to that. I don't know that there are. It's not clear to me that there are costs involved. That has not come up.
It depends on your vendor and
Yeah.
your ILS vendor.
Yeah.
Typically, like Innovative will charge for port charges. Most of the consortias will have unlimited ports with Cersei Dynix and the like.
750 per SIP license is what our deal with Cersei is per
Okay.
library.
Okay.
Connection. So
I know the newer deals, they've kind of gone away from that because it really doesn't cost them anything to give you those. It's just another revenue stream, and as people get more and more crabby about it, it changes. So it's kind of like the phone companies and text messages,
Well, we're switching to Polaris.
That's right. That's one of the reasons you're switching, right?
I want to say that for taking.
And they have a different kind of SIP2 agreement.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that.
So we've been working through these issues. And I know that they are myriad, and we're very conscious of it. But I think that this is going to be a hugely popular program. It has been very successful in California. It started out with Contra Costa, but it's throughout the state now. Hundreds of museums, hundreds and hundreds. It's very affordable for us. And we're also hoping that CPL may join us. We already have a couple of Chicago museums that are interested, which would certainly be great for people around here and people who visit. So I think it's going to be very popular, and it's going to grow.
And Dee, I wanted to mention there are also multiple ways that it can connect other than SIP2. SIP2 is a fairly insecure, archaic system that is kind of going by the wayside now. I believe that Quipu has stuff directly into like Cersei Dynix APIs and stuff like that to access it. So we were in talk, and they talked about multiple ways to connect other than SIP2, because we're kind of down on SIP2.
It's great to be about to do something that has been done really well and robustly by another state. I think they've figured out a lot of the problems, so we're excited.
I have an online question. How does authenticating patrons work if you are not in the Rails LMS, it says, but I'm not sure what they mean by that. But
I don't know what they mean by that.
In like a consortia within Rails or like an individual?
I mean, authentication will work.
Like if
Yeah.
they're
If you have-
standalone thing.
They have
Yeah.
their own ILS. They would work with the IT department to, allow access from that server to authenticate.
And what if you don't have an ILS?
Well,
Well, if you're not automated, I'm not
You
sure
couldn't, because
that
we
any of
have
this
a-
would be of any use to you at all.
Well, you could have a website.
You could certainly still get access to this program. It would
Yeah.
just be different. We're talking about the some of this is really complicated. Some of it is, I think, going to be a lot simpler.
And this person has added, is it authenticate in your own system?
Yes.
That's the idea.
Yes, it would
that
have
would
to.
authenticate to your system.
The only way it can authenticate.
I believe that Quipu had told us that they had like local users that could be set up as well.
Yeah.
So you can authenticate as well as have, local users loaded into the system.
I have
Other
a question.
questions or comments? Yes.
I have a question. Could you give us any idea of somebody that you're talking to that you're pretty sure is going to be in it so I can mention it to my board? I know you haven't signed anybody up yet, any museums or attractions or anything, but what are we just, are there a couple of people that we're pretty sure we're going to get?
I think the Museum of Science and Industry is pretty interested in being, again, none of these have committed yet, but Emily has talked to
I know,
them.
I realize that.
I think the Peoria Aviation Museum.
The Hemingway Museum in Oak Park, I know they have. I think the Brookfield Zoo is very interested. I think they are, we're having some conversations with them about, they have 2 entrances, and that's part of these are fascinating conversations, but,
I know she's sent a lot of feelers out, and
Yeah.
she's in the process of following up with, all these, she sends an initial letter, and then she follows up on that. Those are the ones that pop up in my head.
This is good. I just wanted a couple of names so I could throw them
Okay.
out there.
Okay, great.
Name drop. Okay, thank you.
okay. Sure. Any other questions or comments about the museum passes? We'll be getting information out to you as soon as we have it.
Somebody's asking if there is a timeline for this, and we are thinking of early next year. We're waiting, Quipu is in the middle of a big software upgrade, so we're waiting for that, but we're thinking early next year. And we will keep you posted. Stay tuned to our weekly e-news. As I mentioned, we're going to have a page on our website soon that we'll update as new information becomes available. But early next year is a target date for that. Should I jump into the next?
Yes, thank you, Mary.
So Rails is going to be at 2 upcoming conferences, Illinois Library Association Conference in Tinley Park next week, and then also the Illinois School Library Media Association Conference the following week in Springfield. And you'll find all of the details on our website, on our homepage. If you just go down to the middle of the homepage, there's like a news section. But our booth number at ILA is 1106. It's right as you walk in the door, so you won't be able to miss us. The exhibit hours are on Wednesday and Thursday, and again, all of this information, the specific hours are on our website. But we really do hope you'll stop by. We have a lot of things to tell you about Rails, some of the things that we talked about today, some other things. We'll have our Rails Trivia Wheel, which is always a pretty popular attraction, and we'll have some great prizes if you spin the wheel. So we're really looking forward to seeing you there, and we hope that you'll stop by, and please spread the word to your friends and family, staff, anybody. There's also going to be a couple programs we're involved with at ILA. One, Veranda Pitchford is doing a program with some others from our member libraries, and that's called Make It Work, Elevating Library Leadership in Illinois, and that is on October 10th at 4 p.m. And then there's also going to be a soon-to-be-famous Illinois author project program on Tuesday, and that is called This Is What a Self-Published Author Looks Like. And again, the specific times and things, you'll find that all on our website, but we hope you will stop by to those. Then at the ISLAMA conference the following week in Springfield, our booth is number 38, and the exhibits are open on Friday and Saturday. We'll have a prize wheel there, especially for school libraries, to test your knowledge of Rails services for school libraries. So if you're up to taking that challenge, again, you will win a great prize. And we also have a program there that Veranda is involved in. It's called Having Fun When Your School Goes 1-to-1, and that is on Saturday. And she will be doing that with some of our school library members. Are there any questions about that, or anybody else that's doing anything at ILA or ISLAMA that they would like to mention? Okay, well, we hope to see you there.
Definitely. Thank you, Mary. So this is the part of the meeting where we invite attendees to share what's new at your libraries, or any general information, projects, questions, anything at all. So
We could go around for this one.
Sure. Mary suggests we go around, so I think that's a great idea. So let's start in Burr Ridge. Anybody there want to share anything?
Apparently not.
Okay, thank you. How about in Coal Valley?
Doesn't appear as though anyone wants to share anything.
All right, thank you, Angela. How about East Peoria?
We
Guess
have nothing,
not.
thank you.
All right, nothing to share. How about Cherry Valley?
We're good right here, but it's nice seeing everyone today.
Okay, thanks, Jane. Nice seeing you too. How about Freeport?
Well, I guess some of our news is that our little cafe, our little coffee shop here at the Freeport Public Library, we just have a new tenant, and she's calling herself Christina's at the Gallery Cafe. And the next time anyone's coming through Freeport, I highly recommend it, because my gosh, are her cupcakes amazing.
Okay, very good to know. Thank you, Laura. State Library, anything to share?
Nothing at this time.
All right, thanks, Deb. How about LaSalle?
No, we have nothing here, just looking forward to ILA.
All right, great. Yeah, see you there. Did we ever hear from Macomb?
It looks like they disconnected. There was.
No, we're still here.
Oh, Dennis!
We're still here.
You're lurking out
We're sitting
there.
in the dark. The only thing that I can share is that we just got finished with the WIU homecoming. Had 100 kids and bands and everything else using our bathrooms, because we're at the beginning point. And now we're getting ready for the Macomb High homecoming, which will be this weekend.
My. All right. Thank you. Enjoy. How about in New Lenox?
Anybody? Doesn't look like it.
All right. Thank you. Sycamore? Anybody ever get to Sycamore? Don't know. I guess not. Anybody here in Vernon? Start with Ryan here. Yep.
So in our strategic plan, we went into increase the number of library cards that we issued in the community. And we have a collaboration with Gurnee School District 56, where during the school registration process, we've made it easy for kids to get library cards. So basically, during the registration process, parents can check a box saying that they want a card. The school district's already verified that they're residents of the library district. And assuming they don't have a blocked card or they don't already have a card, we send them a new card via mail. So we issued 891 new cards.
That is awesome.
In the school district itself, I think there are about 2,400 students. A lot of them already had cards, so it was amazingly successful. We want to try to expand it to the other school districts that we serve. And I want to talk with other libraries because we have school districts that obviously there are a bunch of
shared.
a couple of us that library districts that serve that school district. So I want to talk to them to see if we can continue our efforts. I think it's a great program, and we've seen a lot of those cards that we've issued have very high usage. It's just breaking down that barrier to getting library cards into kids' hands. So I would encourage all of you to try a project, and I'd love to hear from others that have done it so we could trade notes, learn lessons if you've tried it. And if you want to talk to me about it, I'd love to talk to you about it. Because I think it's something that's, if you have a good relationship with the school district, yes, there's some hoops to jump through, of course, but it's a really good collaboration. So I'm very excited about it.
That is great. Great.
I just want to do a little commercial for the ILA PPC committee, the Public Policy Committee. We're in the process of setting our legislative agenda for the coming year. So if anybody out there has any issues that they wish for us to take up and potentially bring to the legislature, let us know. Contact any of us on the committee. Scott Boynton's our chair. We're all ears. Thank you.
I guess we have an online.
Yeah, we actually have
Nobody
several
else?
here.
Okay.
Talcott Library has a new website. It's www.talcottfreelibrary.com. So congratulations to them. The Botanical Garden, the Chicago Botanical Garden, their Shakespeare program is on Sunday, October 15th at 1 p.m. Author Jarrett Quealy is speaking with a flutenist and a soprano providing music. And there'll also be a book signing and rare book viewing, and that's free with pre-registration. Then at Flossmoor during September and parts of October for National Library Card Month, they hosted Septober, I think this is supposed to be, Septober Neighborhood Night at the Library. It was a targeted campaign to draw each neighborhood of Flossmoor to come in and sign up for library cards. And then finally we have Midgeville. Oh no, we got another one in. Midgeville recently got rid of Dewey in their nonfiction sections. They're using BISAC, B-I-S-A-C, as a rough guideline, and their nonfiction circ numbers are up. If anyone has questions, feel free to contact them. They also genre grouped their juvenile fiction, and their circulation is up.
Oh, good for them.
Then, let's see, there are 6 different, I think we're going back to the Flossmoor. There are 6 different neighborhood nights scheduled altogether, and September saw them generate 63 completely new cards. Then Northlake will soon open its Library of Things. Most items will be available for all patrons regardless of residency. They have electronics, kitchen items, craft items, and tools.
That's interesting.
Sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
So that's it. Thanks to everybody for sharing online. That's great.
Anybody else here in Vernon? All right.
I'm here
Anybody
in
else?
Quincy.
Oh, hi, Quincy.
Hi. Sorry,
What's new?
I came in late. Just thought I would let you know a couple things that we've been doing. We also went out to some of the neighborhood center back-to-school fairs, and we went to some of the curriculum nights at the schools. We're trying to get out there a little more to get those kids signed up for cards. Also, we are doing a presentation at Quincy Conference tomorrow. That's the big teachers conference for the whole area, and we'll be presenting on library resources specifically for teachers and students. The other thing we have going on right now is our Friends of the Library bookstore, or book sale, I'm sorry. So it's a very busy week here.
That sounds great. Thanks, Nancy. Sorry I missed you before. Anybody else? All right, well, I guess that's it then. Our next member update will be in January. Don't have the exact date yet, but we'll let you know. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.